In today's episode, we're going to take a look at Tim's highly modified Nissan GQ Patrol. What a maniac. Proudly supported by Outback Equipment, Tread, Superior Engineering, and in part by. So Tim and I have just finished up a week on the road together, filming some videos and trip episodes, which you've probably seen. I'm assuming this one will come out after. We're just on our way down out of the high country. We camped up on Mount Terrible last night. But I thought it'd be a good opportunity to do a walkthrough of Tim's Patrol that you would have seen on the last few videos. Tim's heading back to Tassie in a couple of days, so he's been up here for the last 6 weeks, did a big trip to Cape York, so this car's been just about everywhere. So first of all, Tim, what is it?
It's a 1992 GQ Patrol. It was a petrol TI in its first life, and it's now got the 4.2 in it with a turbo.
They are solid axle front and rear.
Yep.
And coil sprung front and rear.
Yep.
So the ultimate off-road four-wheel drive.
Yeah.
So we'll start running through all the mods because we've done a fair bit of work to this thing.
Yeah. A lot of nights.
Starting down the front end, bull bar, what is it?
This is a Patrol Doctor bull bar. It doesn't usually come with these outer hoops. I welded them on after.
So you modified it a little bit yourself.
Yeah.
And then the winch in there, I believe you rebuilt that yourself?
Yeah, so that was a second-hand worn 8274, and it's now been built with a giggle pin brake and the Roadrunner bullet motor and the Albright solenoid.
So it's just a high mount winch.
Yep.
What's the benefit of having a high mount winch?
The obvious one is they're a lot quicker.
Yeah, so just more powerful, pull you much faster out of bad situations.
Yeah, and in low mounts, they tend to get a bit warmer. You've got to give them a bit of a spell. This thing would happily pull you up hills all day and keep going.
So Tim does some pretty hectic stuff down in Tassie in this rig, $1,000 track and all that sort, tracks like that. So you need a big powerful winch to pull you out of head height, mud holes, and up all those big hills. And they got a big long rope on them as well, don't they?
Yeah. I can't remember how many meters, but it's 30 or 40 meters of rope on there.
Little UHF here.
Yep, that's a Unidan antenna with a GME XRS.
Just for communications on the road.
Yep.
And then your headlights, because I got a GQ as well that I'm currently in the process of building, and the headlights are horrendous.
Yeah, they fill up with water.
You upgraded them?
Yep, they're steady. I think they're called carbons maybe. But yeah, they're steady headlights, and I usually have a set of steady spotties up here, but they fatigued and broke off in the Daintree.
Yeah, right here. Snorkel on the side here.
Yeah, so I got this custom made by a guy called Blair Warren down in Tassie, 4-inch stainless. The reason the snorkel looks like this and it's so long is because this once had a safari snorkel on it, and so we tried to cover all the old holes that that snorkel had. Yeah, so the only other option is to get a new guard there and then cut a new snorkel in. Basically, yeah.
Because you wanted a bonnet entry one, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. Set of rock sliders here so you don't bash your seals in.
Yeah. So they're tube rock sliders made by one of my mates, Josh Jones. He's down in Tassie. And yeah, he made them so that they've got a bit of a kicker here.
Yeah, I really like how they come out a bit and then they kick you off when you're leaning up against things.
Yeah, it was very helpful on phone track the other day actually.
Yeah. Down the back you obviously got a rear bar for protection. Is that been chopped, like a quarter chop is it they call it?
Yeah, so it's been quarter chopped, and then this bar suits that once you do the chop. This is the same as the front bar. This is made by Patrol Doctor in Melbourne.
Yeah, it's got a couple of recovery points on it there too,
yeah.
Looks like. Oh, your 35-inch tyre is mounted on the door, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yep. And then you just got an ARB dirty gear bag.
Yep.
Well, down the back here you got, looks like bigger fuel tank underneath there.
Yeah, I put that on right before this trip. It's a 148 litre Brown Davis tank. It's actually taken a few hits now, but yeah, really good tank. It's awesome having long range, especially with the fuel prices up here up north.
Yeah, so you carry a fair bit of diesel now, and what you said you get about 1,000 Ks out of this on the highway?
Yeah, I've tuned the motor down a fair bit for this trip, and so I'm getting about 15 litres per 100, which is about 1,000 kilometres of road driving.
The big one that everyone always wants to know, we'll go into that now, tyres and suspension. So starting with tyres and rims, what are you running?
Yeah, so they're a 15-inch rim, dynamic steely, neg 22 offset, and 8 inches wide, and they're a 35 by 12.5 on a 15.
Yeah, so a true 35-inch tyre. And then I'll grab the camera and we can run through suspension because there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
Okay, let's have a look under the front. Let me just, yep, go for it when you're ready.
So the whole car is, it started off as a 3-inch front and rear. It's sunken down a little bit now. Which is good, I like it low. It's full Superior, so it's got the Superior Hyperflex radius arms in the front. I'm using Black Hawk bump stops, and it's got 7-inch shocks all round. So
which is Superior's longest shocks.
Yeah, Superior's.
And do you remember what travel they are? Is that 13 in the rear and 12 in the front or something?
I think, yeah, about that, yeah.
Something like that of travel.
Yeah. And so that's why the bump stops are pretty close, but that's why I got these bump stops, because they're super soft, and so I'm driving it around at the top of my travel basically.
And then what else you got under there? So obviously you got upgraded all your usual arms and that?
Yeah, so Superior Heim drag link, Superior Panhard, and Superior tie rod at the back.
Steering dampener?
Yeah, Superior as well.
What coils have you got to handle like the flex and that? What's your coil setup?
They're a Dobinson flexi coil, so they're a variable rate. They'll hold your car up and whatnot, but as you flex and drop these wheels fairly low, the coil will still stretch and retain itself in its spot.
You haven't had any problems with flexi coils?
No, not yet. People do say they sag, which they do. But if you prepare for that and get yourself a longer coil in the front, then you can compensate for it.
Front coil towers are braced?
Yeah, so this one on this side was actually bent. It was bent when I bought it, and it just got worse hitting dunes at the beach. And so we straightened it back out with like a pulley, and then welded some braces around the coil towers.
And then down the back with your suspension, what's going on under there?
Yeah, so 7-inch shocks again. Down here is just the 80 series bump stops that come with the Superior kit. 3-inch coils and Superior Panhard, the Superior lower arms, and the Superior adjustable upper arms.
Yeah, so it's pretty much a full Superior kit front to rear with all your upgraded arms and shocks and everything.
Yeah.
With your shocks, well, what type of shocks are they? Because they're not the remote res ones.
No, they're the cheaper ones. I think they're just called a 2.5 mono.
Actually, to cover your tyres, because we forgot about that, what have you just added your own, extend your flares a bit?
Yeah, so that's just like rubber, I think 50mm rubber off eBay. And typically people use the rubber that you screw in from the inside. And I find that your tyre always rips it out. So these ones you actually bolt in from the outside. So I've just got riv nuts and they're bolted in from the side.
Yeah, and that keeps your tyres pretty well within those guards there. And you got some bigger mud flaps at the rear too. You've got Superior mud flaps there, looks like.
Yep, so the Patrol rear bar has a cross member that goes over to the chassis, and I just put 2 riv nuts in there and mounted them up. You can remove them when you're wheeling as well.
So maybe you want to pop the bonnet and we'll have a look inside.
Pretty dirty in here at the moment.
The engine bay is a bit dirty, including the whole car really, but we just came out a week of the tracks in the high country, so not too much we can do about it. Where do you want to start with the engine?
I mean, this engine now is actually a brand new crate engine from Nissan through Patrol apart. It had a silver top when I bought it. That was great for 2 years. They run really well with the 10mm pump, and it had just a standard GU turbo on it. That was fantastic. They have enough power to do pretty much anything you want to do, except I decided to put a bigger UFI pump on it and the 18G, and so that quickly saw that engine blowing up.
It seems a bit warm. Oh, it might be the big crack in the crank right there.
and then a second silver top blowing up, and so now we're here.
So you're on your third engine on this thing.
Third engine on this
So
thing.
you blew up 2 silver tops. Your second one you said was pretty dodgy when you bought it second hand, but anyway, wasn't it?
Yeah, I bought a car for $3 grand and it had a TD in it, and it had a lot of blow by. It burnt a lot of oil. It never made good power, and it had terrible economy, which is a sign of bad rings. And when we pulled it apart, it was full of sludgy oil. It's all over Red Rover, boys.
And you've replaced all these engines yourself, so that's one of the cool things about this car and this rig. Like, basically everything done to this car is done by you nearly, and your mates, a bit of help from your mates and stuff.
Yeah, definitely help with fabrication side of things from mate. But yeah.
So this crate motor, that's just a brand new motor that you've bought for this car. So it's only got 15,000 Ks on it or something, doesn't it?
Yeah, after this trip, it had 4,000 when I left home, and at the end of this trip now, it's done about 15,000 Ks. I have, when it blew up the last 2 engines, it was running, the last time I dynoed it, it was 200 horse and 600 Newton meters. But I got cheeky with the pump from then and turned it up further. And ever since I knew about this trip, I thought I'd put a brand new engine in it basically, and I have wound the power back now.
And you've got another engine home that you rebuilt, didn't you? You rebuilt one of the ones that blew up.
Yeah, so the first one snapped a crank, but the block was fine. So I used that block and a turbo head that I had sitting at home. I got a crank off a mate that had one sitting around, got that balanced up and put that in the motor I'm building. It's got ARP head studs, so that's waiting to go in this one probably when I get home.
So what's your airbox? So we talked about the snorkel earlier, into an airbox.
So the snorkel through to the airbox, and both intercooler pipes. All the stainless work was done by Blair Warren, which is a fella down in Tassie. He just did it custom for me. That all gets cooled by a 600 by 300 Plasma Man intercooler in the front here. The intake manifold over here is DL Fabworks, which was supplied by Diesel Pump Caboolture. So this is an 18G turbo. It's actually an Arashi that's been rebuilt by RMS. I believe RMS get them into Australia, then they put their own compressor, turbine and shafts in, which suit the TD better, and then they resell them. So it's got, yeah, an Arashi 18G and a UFI 11mm pump on it.
Yeah, so 11mm. Did you have 12mm at one stage?
No, I've never had a 12mm, but you can get power out of the 11mm. People think you need a 12mm to make power. You do not need a 12mm to make power.
Anything else going on in here we need to mention?
I run 2 red top Optimas, and that's basically just to make sure I've got enough cranking amps to run the winch. And those with a sharp eye would probably notice that my alternator still has a vacuum pump on the back of it, which is a telltale sign of a silver top. And I just kept that because that's where my vacuum lines are already running, so I thought I'd just run a silver top alternator. And down where the vacuum pump would usually be on a black top, I've just blanked it off. So it is a turbo motor, but yeah, I just put a silver top alternator on it. Plus I already had a spare silver top alternator.
So can you just run us quickly through the different 4.2 diesel engine variants you can get?
Yeah, so you can get the silver top, which is an NA motor, a naturally aspirated, non-turbo.
Yeah.
And that was in cars from 88 through till maybe early 90s. And then they started putting in black tops, which were also NA. Naturally aspirated non-turbo, and then once they get to the GUs, they started putting in these motors, which are the turbo motors. This is actually a TD42 Ti motor.
So these motors never came in GQs?
No,
They only came in GUs.
Yeah.
4.2 turbo diesel GUs.
Yeah, if in a normal world you would find this engine in an 06 GU factory turbo. Yeah,
and so with the silver tops and black tops, there's a common theory that one handles power better than the other.
Yeah. So the NA blacktop is easier to rebuild to turbo spec because all of the gudgeons and everything match being built to turbo spec. The silver tops, people say that you don't really need to rebuild because they already handle boost. I've snapped cranks in 2 of them, and I threw a rod out the side of one of them. So, I mean, if you've got a TD, don't be scared to turbo it. If you keep the 10mm and under 20 PSI, it will run and you'll have fun with it. Like, don't listen to what people say. I'm going to get so much shit for that.
The TD42 cooling system Is there anything special you've done to that? Like, how do you keep the engine cool?
Basically, I don't subscribe to the whole water pump theory of having a high flow water pump. It is a genuine water pump. It is a genuine replacement radiator, just a copper brass copy, 2-core, what they come with. The only thing I've done to the cooling system is added a quick as fan and a thermostat, and that has got me into the furthest reaches of Queensland and back. And I didn't see over, I think the hottest I saw was 93, and that was with a sock on the snorkel, running rich, low boost, going uphill sort of thing. But like it'd chuff along at 85 all day up there.
So with this engine, is your plan to try not blow it up or try blow it up?
So this engine, I really want to not blow it up, but I think what I might do is take this one out when I get home and keep that as a spare for my GU coil cab at home. And I'll put that built silver top back in this and send it to the moon, basically. I think it's the plan.
Yeah, okay. Just put massive power through it and see what happens.
And enjoy it, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Is that about it for the engine bay?
Yeah, I think so.
What about exhaust running? So it's coming out your manifold there.
Yeah, so I think it started out its life as a DEA exhaust. I changed the dump pipe because the DEA one cracked to one that RMS supplied, and all I've done to it really is I had to squeeze it past the new Brown Davis tank, and I shot it out the side because I kept on crunching the tip. So yeah, I poked it around my mud flap, which I guess you'll show them.
Do you have any figures of like what your Newton meters and horsepower and stuff the engine's making?
Not anymore. When I put the first motor in it with this pump and this turbo, on the dyno it made 200 horsepower and 600 Newton meters. I've had it higher since then. I'd probably suspect now it's around the 175 and 500 mark probably.
Yeah. What do we have a look inside the car?
Yeah.
We'll have a look inside the GQ now. It's a fair bush rig. So it's not really
not that flash.
not luxurious in here. Starting with seats, mate, you've got some comfier seats in there, I see.
Yeah, so these are Falcon seats, not XR ones or anything, just standard Falcon Ute seats with the Hurricane rails.
Yep. So with those Hurricane rails, that makes them engineerable and stuff, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
So starting there with your GME radio you mentioned earlier, it's just got that mounted up there for communications.
Yeah.
So it's actually a Toyota inside, is it?
I've got a few different badges on it.
You got a Land Rover on your fuel filler as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, what else is going on here? Anything?
I've got a few different volts. So this volt's here, it's low at the moment because I've got everything turned on. This volts goes to my front batteries. The volts on my dash go to the alternator, and then the volts down here are my rear battery. So if for some reason it blows the fusible link, I'll still see volts on my dash, but I'll see that the front battery's not getting charged. Or if something's wrong with the DC to DC, I'll see that there's not charge getting to this one. So it's handy for seeing all the volts. That's why I've got that there. Lockers,
because you mentioned them, this rig's twin locked.
Yeah, twin locked, so it's got front and rear Harrop E-lockers.
Yeah, and you've found them good?
Yeah.
What's that on there?
That's my party lights.
Oh yeah, yeah, so you got is it a steady kit?
Yeah, steady party lights.
Steady party light kit. Pop round this side, so what is going on around here?
So this has actually got the petrol dash in it that I've made work. So it's got volts on the bottom left, fuel obviously, water temp over there, and then oil pressure down the bottom, and all that works.
These gauges?
So this is the Red Arc boost and EGT. It's got boost over here, EGT on that side, and then that number at the bottom is intake air temp. They have a auxiliary optional third temperature, so I just like to see how efficient the intercooler is. And then the top one up here is a VDO capillary water gauge. So that is non-electrical. It's purely mechanical. The last few switches around the steering wheel there is so this is winch power, winch in, out, and then that's usually my spotty lights, and then the other light on the right hand side is my my rear light.
So you can winch in and out from in-cab winch controls.
Yeah.
That's exactly. Really handy. I need to do that to mine.
Yeah, no, it's good.
Your doors, you've changed around a bit. You've downgraded them, you said.
Yeah, well, this car gets a lot of water in it all the time. They're usually made of chipboard. They get soggy, they rip off the door, they stop fitting. And so this is honestly just whiteboard from from Bunnings. They sell whiteboard sheet.
And what, you just cut it out yourself, did you?
Cut it out myself and tech screwed it to all the doors. Yeah.
And you took away your power windows and put manual ones?
Yeah, I didn't do that, but yeah, this car was once a TI in its first life, and so everything's been manualised. I even put vinyl in it and got rid of the carpet just so I can hose it out.
Have you done any sound deadening in it?
Yeah, so under the bonnet and all the front here, you can see it poking through there. It's just got that car builder's sheet.
Oh yeah.
Stuck through it everywhere.
Sound system, anything special? Just some upgraded speakers and head unit there?
Yeah, just a head unit with Bluetooth, a couple of speakers in the front and some 6x9s in the back. No sub or anything, just enough to enjoy your music basically.
Yeah. Full-blown tractor in here.
Yeah, mate.
So it's a fair mess because you've just spent 6 weeks on the road.
Yeah, it's hard to keep tidy.
Yeah, but back seats are gone is the first obvious thing you can see.
Yeah, so the back seats are gone and I've fitted in a platform. So I think over there I've got recovery gear, bottle jack, that sort of thing.
Air compressor hose, yep. All the stuff down the bottom there.
Yep, and on this side I've just got awning walls and a high lift jack, a few spares, just stuff that can get wet because like I said, this gets water in it all the time, like I go through deep water.
Fridge you're running?
Yeah, so this is an Angle 38 or 40 litre I think, and then...
That's enough for you, just yourself on the road?
Yeah, absolutely. I ran this all the way up to the Cape. Once we were north of Cairns, I used it as a freezer, and my other mate, he carried our food, so I just carried frozen food. He carried all the other food.
So what's in this box?
That's, you can open it. That's just my pantry.
Yeah, okay, food in there, and what's this bit of clothes and stuff in the middle there?
Yeah, all this in between is just clothes, just to keep them up out of the water and that.
You hire some high-tech lighting inside.
Yeah, it came for free with one of my things bought from Kings or something, and so I just wrapped it everywhere. It's been handy.
Yeah, so just LED lights.
Yeah.
You got an oven in here too?
Yeah, I put an oven in there for this trip. It is really handy, but I had a bit of a disaster with pork, so I ended up with pork fat running through the car everywhere. But yeah, that's been really handy just for pies on the track, pizzas on the track. This cargo barrier I made up before I left. It's just been handy to hang lights from, hang all my electrical batteries, deflator, fire extinguisher, just to hang everything from.
What's that under there?
So all this under here, that's the BC to DC.
Part of your dual battery system.
Part of the dual battery system.
Red arc one?
Yep.
It looks like.
Red arc. I've got my air compressor there, hardwired. And then on the other side is my lithium battery, 120 amp hours.
Yeah, 120 amp hour lithium. So that's run your fridge, charge a bit of phones and stuff off it too or whatever.
Yeah,
run your camp lights.
Run my camp lights, party lights. It runs the fridge, and I charge like Milwaukee batteries for rattle guns and chainsaw and stuff like that. It seems to be pretty happy. It's lasted this trip.
And a bit of solar on the roof there too, I see.
Yeah, that's the last piece of the puzzle. This is actually the first trip I've ever run solar. It's a bit of a game changer, to be honest. Like, I'm surprised how much it helps your batteries on those mornings before you start driving. It's actually given me the ability to park for a couple of days and just get solar charge.
Yeah, so what is the solar panel? Do you know?
I believe it's 125 watt, maybe. It was given to me from a friend, and obviously people will notice that it's just screwed into the roof, and
yeah.
High-tech
engineering by Tim.
I wouldn't usually do that, but I hate having a roof rack. I hate storing stuff on my roof, and I do plan to chop this when I get home.
So you've nearly been intentionally trying to wipe the rear end out of this on the trip. So what's happened here? This rear pillar's gone on this trip.
Yeah, this all went on Little Red, and don't worry, everyone at home, you can see like it's getting a bit of rust through it now. She's an old girl. She's done a lot of beach work.
So not chopping up a beautiful, nice wagon.
No, there is rust in the roof here. There is rust in front of the back wheel arches. All that damage will get cut out.
So after this trip, this trip's pretty much its last hurrah, and then it's going in the shed for a few months to chop, full rebuild.
Yeah.
Get the thing all somewhat nice again to then launch it down some more tracks.
Exactly, yeah. Before this trip, I bought a GU coil cab, which will be my tourer eventually. And this thing is basically getting chopped into a race truck looking thing. And I hope to actually do some competing with it. So.
Yeah, you've been saying that you want to come, like, because you're Tassie, you want to come over the fair and do a bit of that winch dog stuff around Melbourne and that.
Yeah.
So you're gonna, you know, maybe put some 37s on it, chop it, and just go bananas with it.
Yeah, we're going to go a bit silly. It's going to get 37s, GU diffs, keep it twin locked, put a comp looking tray on it, and it'll just be the bus that I send through $1,000 track through the muddy stuff.
It's also, there's your other sticker down the back there, Land Rover.
Yeah.
So it's a Toyota. It's a Land Rover. It's also a Navara on the front, I see.
Yeah. I'm actually came from driving a Navara, so I've got a soft spot in my heart for Navaras.
Yeah, okay. Open up the back and have a look in there. So you don't have roof rack storage, but you still make it work, I guess being one person.
Yeah, I think that's it. So this is all packed in order of using it too. So right at the back I've got my gazebo if I need it. Then I've got my swag and stretcher, which is what I've been sleeping on this trip by crash pad. And then the last thing to go in is the seat, because you can pull it out when you're having lunch and stuff like that.
Some tightened drawers there.
This one here, that's all in the back here. I've got wheel bearings, swivel hubs.
Yeah, why don't you go through a few of the things you have, because you're basically a walking mechanic on wheels.
Yeah.
There's nothing Tim can't fix on the tracks. The only thing is you ran out of CVs this trip.
I did run out of CVs this trip. I just broke my 4th one. But yeah, in this bag I've got wheel bearings. Should I get that out?
Yeah, have a quick look if you want. Look at all this stuff you got here.
Yeah, so that's like 12 volt stuff. That's bolts and nuts and pins and stuff. And then in this one, so in here, that's all hose clamps. Inner axle seals and kingpin things like that. These are a common thing to go on GQs. It's the steering linkage, so I carry one of them. Spare pins for the Heim joints, slave cylinder, wheel bearings, brake pads, hubs, all sorts of stuff in here.
Nothing you can't fix on the road.
Yeah, and you know, this is the first time I've got this bag out too.
Yeah, okay, so you haven't needed it this trip.
Haven't needed anything out of it. And that's just tools, sockets, spanners, screwdrivers, pliers, all that kind of stuff. And then my bigger tools are over here. This here, so that's tools and spares. This one here is my kitchen, so I usually just put that over that side and cook there.
Yeah, that's pretty handy.
Yeah, this is all kitchen stuff. So yeah, I've got food in the fridge and pantry, and then this is just cooking stuff: jet boil, pan, cooker, cups, cutlery, knives, forks, all that sort of thing. So the last thing at the back is these Titan drawers have wings. So in this side I've got Sikaflex, brake fluid, power steering fluid, CV grease, wheel bearing grease, basically all my lubes, greases and fluids for the car. And in the other side I've got a spare alternator. I carried CVs in there, hoses, belts, you know, just all that sort of bigger stuff that didn't fit in the bag.
Electric chainsaw there too, for a bit of firewood chopping and stuff.
Yeah, I love them. They're amazing. That's been really helpful. They're quiet, they don't stink, you don't have to carry fuel.
I think we're just about done. We're trying to think if there's anything else we need to go through. There's the exhaust where it comes out the end there. Put a bit of black diesel soot on the side of it. Anything else you can think of there that we've missed?
It still does actually have a rear sway bar in it. I've just got the Superior removable links in it.
Yeah.
The diffs also have breathers. They're the Black Hawk breathers, which have been really good on this trip because I've done a lot of water.
Yep.
Other than that, I think that's just about it.
Big GQ bush basher.
Yeah.
And then next time we see it, it'll be in a chopped ute.
Yeah, hopefully. And hopefully it'll look good.
Yeah. I know we kind of mentioned it, but future plans, so GU diffs, after I gave you a hard time about your GQ diffs.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then chop, what sort of chop you doing? Like dual cab, single cab, space cab?
Yeah, I haven't found a good extra cab GQ that I like yet, but you kind of have to, because my front seats come back past this B pillar here, so it's going to have to be an extra cab of some kind. I haven't decided if there'll be a window or whether it'll just be like steel. But yeah, it'll be some version of an extra cab.
Are you going to shorten it at all?
Yeah, the chassis will probably get chopped a bit. I also plan to use a lot of these arms in the GU as I'm building that. And so I'm thinking about doing a triangulated 4-link for the rear with longer arms. That'll just be a custom job. And for the front, we're looking closely at doing an X-link for the front and using these Hyperflex arms for the GU.
Yeah, okay, cool. So big plans for it coming up.
Yeah, a lot of custom work, a lot of nights in the shed, but my mate's a really good fabricator and we don't mind getting the welder out and trialing stuff.
Yeah, awesome. I think that just about covers it.
Yeah, for sure.
Thanks for running us through your rig.
No, that's all right. Hope you liked it.
Yeah, we'll hopefully see it again down the track in Tassie, smashing through some more mud holes.
For sure, with your GQ.
Yeah, once I do mine up. What do you reckon, Kai? Pretty good run through? Nailed it, boys. Boom. Boom, boom, boom. Alright, so I'll do an intro sentence in today's episode, and then we cut into footage, and now I do second intro. So Tim and I have just finished up, and then I'll ask you what it is. So if you want to do, like, you know, 1997 3 4.2, just a quick thing, and then we'll set the tripod up.
Both the cold pipe and the hot pipe, I said those around the wrong way, sorry.
Sorry, go again. So starting, just because hang on.